Okay, and we are now at episode 7.
Could be 7.
It is 7. And I'm Renee. This is,
Lisa Marie.
and with us today we have, can you
Megan
introduce?
Eckert.
All right.
And who are you and where are you from? Well, I know who you are, but what do you do and where are you from?
Besides being an alt runner, I am a school teacher and high school track and cross country coach. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I've been here for 6 years now, after moving from Texas.
Right on.
Right.
We're just south of you.
Oh, very nice.
Just south, like 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours south in Silver
Oh,
City.
that's a little bit more than just south. Yes.
A little bit.
Well, in Texas, it would be just down the road.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
that's we're
That's
in
the
Louisiana.
appropriate way to word that.
Okay, so let's get started and see if we can guess what it is at the end of this race. So I'm going to do all the hard numbers like cost, time, all the fun stuff. She will take over and do all the experience stuff
The fun factor.
on the run side. Yeah. So my first question, of course, is how much running time did you have?
I must have had countless running time leading into this race. It was a summer race, so I didn't enter until midway through winter. I was doing a lot of winter running. This race actually terrified me. So I was doing a lot of winter running before even registering, and I had a lot of snow time. So it wasn't a lot of miles, but they were like slow, slugging miles,
We
uphill.
we just talking about the race itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just nice.
So so how many hours of running on the race?
Oh, in the race,
Yeah.
it was, 28 hours and, let's see, 28 hours and 26 minutes, I believe. 28 hours, 39 minutes, 57 seconds.
Oh, wow.
You're not even that accurate, so it's just gonna be
Couldn't you have slowed that down by 3 seconds?
Right.
point okay. And how much time did you spend to travel there to the race and back?
The race was about a 3.5 hour drive, there, 3.5 hours back.
Okay, 7 hours. Point 0.8, that's good. You spend 80% of this time actually running and not
Yes.
not so much that traveling.
Yes,
That's
not a lot of travel, which was nice.
it's nice when you can go there and come back when and just almost when you're done, right?
Yes.
Which is rare.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we did spend the night afterwards, but yes, it is nice to have
Yeah,
a shorter trip back.
yeah. Okay, now we move to the costs. So how much was the race fee?
The race fee at the time was 350, um,
That's
for
cheap.
race entry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't see a
I
lot of those anymore.
No, no, I think it's changed.
Um, Travel cost, how much time do you spend on gas, coffee, anything to get you there? Probably not a lot since it was only 3.5 hours.
Not too much on, gas, probably spend a little bit more in a coffee shop, local coffee shop, so I think it was probably about 180.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And nutrition, did you buy any nutrition up to for the race, or did you just go with what the aid station had to offer?
Definitely about nutrition. I'm a huge fan of Scratch products and Honey Stinger products, so those were my major go-tos, that I carried in my pack at all times. And at that time, I was able to also eat off the aid station, something I am not privileged to anymore. But at the time I could, so I didn't have to spend too much, on, nutrition for the race. I think it was maybe $50.
Okay.
That's a good cost.
Yeah, yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Think I spend a little bit more now.
Yeah, I think we all do. I just got
Yes.
the bill on mine. I'm like, "God,
No.
no."
Um, okay, and shoes. What did you spend on shoes for this race?
Shoes, I only wore 1 pair during the race,
Okay,
and I spent $150 on them.
What kind of shoes were they?
They were the Salomon Speed Cross.
okay. Are they good? Do you like them?
They have been my go-to shoes for years now. Recently I transitioned into Mount to Coast. I am also loving those. That's what I will run in all the time. But the Solomon shoes, Speed Cross and Thunder Cross and Sense Ride have been my shoes for years.
Okay.
They are a good show. They're a
Mm,
stiff shoe.
Yes. Yes, very stiff and aggressive lugs, right? Like there it's a pretty significant lug there.
yeah. And then essentials, that's basically everything we haven't covered above.
Essentials as in
Anti-chafing, extra shorts, extra t-shirts, any anything really. It's
I think I just had extra socks.
okay.
I think that's the only thing I had. My crew had an extra change of clothes for me, and other than that oh, you know what, though? I did have, like, a windbreaker, and I had to bring a emergency blanket.
Mm,
So there were some, gear that I had to carry, and I think that maybe totaled well, when you add up the stuff I already had, like the windbreaker and whatnot,
yeah.
probably about 220, 250.
That's still not bad.
No, no,
No.
not at all.
You're gonna put it right in the middle with 235. Okay, so you spent a little over little under 3/4, 3/3 on anything but the race fee.
Yeah.
Your race fee was about a third of your overall cost. That's typical. That's actually what we see with most people.
Yeah,
N
it
no,
wasn't being close to it wasn't a badly priced trip for us.
no,
Right.
no. Okay, so was this a fixed distance race or was it a timed race?
It was a 100 miler.
Okay, and you said 28 and 39 minutes, running time, right?
Correct.
What was your goal time?
I honestly didn't have a goal time going into this. It was my first kind of higher altitude race.
Okay,
So
Ah,
it was just finish. Just don't
okay,
die.
just don't
just don't
die.
die.
Totally understand.
Yes.
So what was the cutoff time for this race?
36 hours that year.
Okay,
So that would be her goal time.
that would also be your goal time, yeah.
Okay.
We've seen that before. People just, long as I finish within the allotted time, I'm good.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes that's a great goal. A lot
Yeah.
of times that's a very good goal when you're approaching something completely new.
Yeah. And then when you look
Eh,
at your watch, you're like, "Oh my god, I did so good."
Yes.
Oh, wow.
okay, you did very well in this one. You got a 0.999. That's because your goal time and the cutoff time is so close together, and yeah, so you did pretty well. So your overall return on investment is 0.722.
That's
That's good.
good.
Look, yeah, it's up in the higher end. So you didn't waste a lot of time and you didn't waste a lot of money.
Yep. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna move over to the fun part, and I'll just ask you a few questions. You'll rate from 1 to 10 and, tell a little something about it, and we're gonna start with the aid station,
9.
a 9.
Fine.
Those I will say the aid stations at that race, everything they had listed on the website for each aid station was available. I'm not sure how the people later in the race, if they ended up with the same, it's kind of hard to tell, right? But they they record how much they use every year for the aid stations, so they're less likely to run out of any
Mm,
product. So you knew exactly what you were gonna grab at each aid station, what was gonna be available, and, it was there.
okay.
That's a good
Also,
answer.
the helpers were amazing. The
That
minute
it
you
was
walked in, it was like, "What do you need? What can I get you?"
Yeah.
those are there. I mean, those kind of volunteers are the best because they want to be there or they
Yes.
want to
Yeah.
watch you do silly things like, ha ha ha, look at their suffering.
Right.
I do know volunteers that get off on that. So,
Yes. They enjoy watching us come through, and those are usually the ones that are at the later aid stations.
yes.
Yes. They're ones that just can't get enough of see people suffering.
Or they want to
Yes.
agree with every hallucination. What are you seeing out there?
Right.
Yep.
Oh,
So, how about that fun factor?
Oh gosh, that was a 10.
okay.
I've actually toyed around with, going back to run that one again.
Those always are the best. So, why was it so fun?
It was a combination of the people. I made friends there that I'm still in touch with almost on a weekly basis now. And also the trail itself is just so fun to run. It's challenging, it's tough, it's brutal, um, but the views are incredible, and it's that mutual suffering, everybody out there is going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely a 10.
And it's
Awesome.
good when you make those connections after a race, and it's a different kind of family.
Yes. Yes,
The
it
ones that
is.
can understand it.
Yes. You see them at other races too, and you're like, "Hey, you're back. Good to see you."
Exactly. Yeah.
How about those trail markings? Were they marked really well, or they marked different? We've had a couple say that they had different types of markings that were fun.
So that one depends on who you are.
Okay.
I would rank it a 9, an 8 or a 9. Some people would probably rank it, a 6 or a 7.
Okay.
The reason being is the trail markings are spaced every quarter mile. So
Mhm.
you're not getting as many confident markers, and you're out on a for a while. It's not little tiny loops. You're out doing one big loop. So if you're somebody who gets lost easily, it's easy to miss like a quarter mile marking and not see one for a half mile or three-fourths of a mile or something. And if you get lost easily, it could be kind of nerve-wracking. I didn't bother me at all. If I
Okay.
got lost, I would backtrack. Didn't even phase me. And I kind of liked the fact that I wasn't seeing orange or pink ribbons
Right.
every tenth of a mile, but I could see the flip side too. My husband's one who prefers a lot more markings,
Yeah.
so
Did
definitely
you have it
depends
on your
on.
watch?
No, at that point, I didn't know that I could upload, maps to my watch, so if I was lost, it was just go back and, backtrack and figure it out, but
So you were not even going to complain about all those extra miles you did because you got lost.
no. Oh, no. No, who complains about extra miles?
At the end, she's gonna say, "It was a
Bonus.
60-miler. I got 100 miles out of it." Did you and your husband run together in this race?
No, he was my crew.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a spot for that later.
Yep. You get to judge your husband. Ha ha.
Oh, nice.
So how
That
was
was
the
the first time he crewed, so this'll be interesting.
Oh, we do have a rebuttal show, so if he watches this and goes, "Oh, no, 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 no," all he's gotta do is write in and
Yes. Okay. He might want to.
So how was the weather?
It was mostly nice. Um, I would rank it an 8. There was a point in the middle of the night that was so cold I couldn't feel my fingertips.
Oh,
And we were up in the clouds. If it had been daylight, it was some sort of inversion cloud because we were in the clouds. Um, the people who were later in the race, ended up with a monsoon storm.
Huh.
Oh,
So they did not have great conditions. They actually held them for an hour at the final aid station before letting them finish. They add an hour to the clock. Um, so the later finishers not so nice. My conditions weren't too bad.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
yeah, the fingers do hurt, the toes hurt when they freeze. They
Oh, they do, and then it's almost worse when they start to get warm again, 'cause
Mhm.
they burn, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, that nerve feeling.
It takes a while to go away. It's just not something that goes away overnight.
No,
I don't know
no.
if how it was for you, but for me, it was a long, long time.
Oh gosh. Mine luckily was really quick. I got my gloves on real fast and I got my hands like tucked in my jacket and I think I reacted well. I reacted quickly. So it didn't last very long. It didn't last the duration of the race even. It was maybe an hour and a half that it took me to warm them back up. So it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Preferred to avoid it entirely, but it wasn't too bad.
Okay, so let's get to that pacer. Did you have any pacers?
I did. I had 2 pacers. It was my first time also ever having a pacer.
Okay.
This is where you get to judge. How were your pacers? What would you give them?
So my pacers were really, really good at like I said, this was a course that style that I hadn't really taken on before in the 100-mile format. And my pacers were really good at like not letting me think that my legs were too tired, that I couldn't go up that climb, that I couldn't move faster. Because we all know that climb where like you just get in kind of that slow motion grind and you're like, well, at least I'm making it to the top. My pacers were really good at being like, "Oh, that's not good enough. We're gonna actually push here because you have more than what you think you have." My pacers were definitely a 9,
All right.
and conversation the whole time. I'm a big talker on trail, um, if I'm with a pacer or, like, later on in a race, so, um, yeah,
Made
definitely
your
definitely
pacers
had a good
hungry.
time. And they bought into my hallucinations. They were like, "This is fine. That's all good." So,
Oh, we're gonna talk about those hallucinations. I can't wait to hear this. Okay, so how about that crew? How are you gonna judge that husband?
oh gosh, the crew at this race has such a hard time. I have to give him a 10. Well, no, no, no. I gotta go back. I gotta go back. I'm giving him an 8.
Okay.
Okay.
Wasn't entirely his fault. This was our first time crewing. And the poor crew, they have to go every which way. Like nothing is close. It's always a long drive from one crew station to another crew station. But going into the night at this race, they have night required gear. And depending on who checks you, the ore may be good or you may need both items. Well, I only had one of the items and the crew had already packed up and left.
Oh.
So they were already in the car about to drive off, and my pacer, luckily I had a pacer at that time. She ran down out of the aid station to get the other item because the gentleman wasn't gonna let me go unless I had both. It was a beanie or a buff, and I had a buff, but he wasn't gonna let me go unless I had the beanie, which luckily I did have in a drop bag, but the crew had already packed up and left so quickly that she had to chase them down the road to bring it back so I could run. So it was an 8, it was a learning curve, but, I will say other than that, like, other than that one thing, he was at every aid station, everything was ready to go. We almost forgot to change a headlamp at one point in time, a headlamp light, which would have been disastrous too because there was no moon at that race at that point in time. Um, but, I mean, for first crewing experience and, like, having to go down these bumpy dirt roads, they did the crew did amazing.
Now, how does it feel to have your husband there? Is it like you looking at him, or you looking at him and going, "Oh gosh, this is the man that I love," or you're looking at him going, "This is my crew. I don't see you this way right now."
That's taken us time to learn. That race was definitely much it was the first time. So it was more, yeah, that's my husband. I'm gonna say, this kinda hurts and I slipped in some mud and I have a headache from being at altitude or whatever, and he wanted to fix it. So we did have kind of that back and forth at that point in time, the husband and wife sort of thing.
Mhm.
Since we've had much more experience, it's changed.
Mm.
So does he fix your, do you if you I guess with the next question, it's gonna be blistering and chafing. Does he actually fix that for you, or are you responsible for that?
I would do that myself. However, I'm lucky enough not to have blisters or chafing very often.
Me
That
too.
is not, yeah, right. It's like I hate to say it because I'm seeing some really horrible chafing issues and blisters, and I feel so bad. Um,
To those who are
because I
listening,
know
she's
how
having
painful they
fixed
are, but I know,
she's
but
going, "I
it's
feel
nice
really
not to have
bad."
to. I feel bad, but it's nice not to have to deal with it.
I totally understand because I don't get them either, and I always say try to say, "I feel so sorry for you," but then I'm like they say, "Well, do you get them?" "No." And they're
Yeah,
just like wanting to say
I know. You're lucky too. It's definitely a gift. I'm afraid if I say it too loud, like, the next race, I'll end up having, like, horrible blisters and chafing.
Not in those mountain coast, nothing's gonna get in there.
No, no, I
Yep,
found
right.
this.
So, okay, besides the blister and chafing, did you have any of those other ultra running things that we don't talk about, and maybe we do talk about?
No, I didn't have any really bad GI distress, issues. I did, stop eating at one point because I just couldn't take anything down at high altitude. It just didn't nothing tasted right, nothing, I remember spending actually about 10 or 15 minutes at an aid station, up high trying to get some food in because they were cooking special each aid station at that race has their special dish that
Mhm.
they're known for, and their that particular aid station had a dish that just sounded delicious, so I sat there for 10 or 15 minutes trying to get something in my stomach because I think at that point it had been, like, 2 hours since I had had anything other than water, and I was feeling it, right? It was a grind, it was a climb, so it was getting really tough, so taking food in got really tough, and I do remember, lot of other people having issues at that race, just
Right.
altitude issues in general. Um, but I didn't have anything too bad at that one either. I did I did get kind of that, dizzy lightheadedness, just after being up high that long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
also I wasn't taking fuel in, so that could have
yeah,
had a it
Could
was a
be.
combo effect there, right? It just
right.
compounded on itself.
And then the water, I mean, if you're not getting the water in, you're being at above out the altitude, you don't know that you're losing it quicker than you're getting in. So,
Right,
yeah, that was very lucky of you to be able to not have to deal with the other side of things,
right, right, yeah.
the extreme thirst later on and,
Oh, yeah, I was so thirsty afterwards.
So we're gonna give this a 9? A 9?
and now well, what did you give? What number did you give for
For the, I'm sorry, what was
the blister and
Blisters and
chafing?
chafing and
the blister and chafing? Sure, let's give it a 10 because I didn't have any, and we didn't really have to deal with it. That was a and which was surprising because even in some sections we were going through, some some snow melt and some runoff and whatnot, and I um, still didn't have any issues. I did change my socks, but that was the extent of it.
It
awesome.
sounds like a good race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about trail naps? And the way I look at it is, a trail nap could be a fall, or it could be, heck, I need to take a little nap, and I just laid down on the trail and, you know, dozed off. So,
So
what
I
kind
did take yes, I did take a trail nap. I think my hardest time is that 3 AM to 5 AM, like, right before the sun comes up, and it's the coldest time of the night, you're trying to keep moving, you've probably been moving at that point in most races for 21, 22 hours, you're starting to really feel it, and that's always for me the hardest point in time. I did end up taking, a trail nap, my pacer went on ahead a little bit, um, and I think sat on a rock, and I just put my hands, like, on my forehead and just until I kind of fell over. Um, I don't know how long it was. I didn't tell him to wake me up. I put, my trekking poles down to one side and just so I knew which way to go when I woke up if he wasn't there.
Oh,
But then, I don't know. It could have been 5 minutes. It could have been 20. I have no clue.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me either, so I guess it was fine. I didn't waste too much time napping.
Are there
Yeah,
pictures of that? Because I know a lot of pacers go over, "Ch-ch-ch."
I don't think there is. I'll have to double check. I don't think there's pictures of the sleep.
Darn.
I
so
know.
so how comfortable was this rock?
Yeah.
Probably not very. If I was that tired, it was like, "Oh, I can sit on that. That's gonna be fine." Sometimes you regret the places you take a trail nap.
You do.
Yes. Yep. Things that we don't talk about sometimes. So did you have any falls, as well, or any falls or trips or that leads to that kind of chill nap?
Yes. Yes, I did have a fall, um, it was pretty early on in the race. Think it was around mile 24 or 25. Um So luckily, it was still a quick bounce up, your muscles weren't as fatigued or anything. And I remember thinking, "Okay, I got it out of the way. I'm good now. I got it out of the way." That one fall, trail demands blood, get it over with, and then run the rest. But that's all I had, and I'm glad because when you fall later on, um, in these races, when you've been out there 24, 25, 28, 30 hours, um, I don't know about anybody else, but I have a tendency to lay there for a minute and get a little frustrated with the fact that I tripped on a rock because my feet are getting tired, my legs are getting fatigued, and they're not responding like I want them to. So, luckily at that race, it was very early on. However, the rock was pretty aggressive.
Ow.
So it was one of those where you get up real fast and you look around and you go, okay, did anybody see that? And of course they did because you're still pretty compacted. Um, but hey,
I've taken a fall like that and landed on my body, and I'm like, "Renee, I don't
oh.
even think my leg's there anymore," and he's like, "Stand up." Okay.
So you
Yeah.
just gotta take it in for a minute
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes.
We didn't pay to lay on the trail.
Yeah, it's
We got
basically what he says. Yeah. So I'm glad your fall wasn't bad. You
Yeah.
probably hurt the rock worse than you hurt yourself.
No, and honestly, it's the same spot that I hit every time. Same
So,
knee, same location, always, so it's just built up scar tissue at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so how about your mental state? Oh, your trail nap comfort. What was the number on that one? Sorry.
That was probably an 8.
An 8?
Wasn't
But you're
too
really
bad. I
not
mean, I
sure.
felt pretty good when I woke back up, and then I realized I had to climb out, and I was like, "Oh, no." But initially, it was awesome.
So how about that mental state? I just don't see you going mental, but you know what? If you did, I would love to know.
Um, I honestly don't remember having a bad moment in that race.
okay.
There was a moment where I was kinda getting frustrated. It was a very long, uphill, and I was getting frustrated. I was with my pacer, and she was super encouraging, just tell me, "Hey, you're at this place. This is how you're moving. You're moving well. Let's keep going." So I think if it wasn't for her, I might have gotten very frustrated with myself, but she didn't allow that to happen. And I vocalized that I was feeling slower, right, than I did in the beginning. And that made a big difference. Like, I think just having that pacer to just encourage me and tell me that I'm not where my mind's wanting to tell me that I am.
Yeah, that's a good pacer. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Oh,
recognize
definitely.
everything. They just want to nip it in the butt.
Yes. Yes. So she didn't even allow it, and that was the only point. It must have been about mile 54 or 55, and she's like, "Nope, we're done with that. We're gonna throw that out the window." And from there on out, It was pretty much I mean, I was just having so much fun out there, honestly. Um, yeah.
Sounds fun.
I need to run whatever race this is.
I'm
This went from
I'm
here to
Oh,
I'm
here.
it's
I'm starting to
uh,
get an idea, but I'm probably wrong.
Okay, so we're gonna give the mental state a 10, 9,
yeah, oh, 10.
a
Yeah,
10, okay.
Yeah.
10 was pretty good.
Hallucinations.
So not this was my first time hallucinating was at this race.
That's
Um,
always fun.
I know, it's always fun, and I think it was the altitude combined with, being in the clouds, and we're on, like, this I think we're at 12,000 feet at this point in time, and we're on this, I still haven't been there during the day, but I'm assuming it drops off on either side. I can't really tell. My mind made up that it did drop off on either side, and there were gorgeous valley views. Who knows? But we're in the clouds, and there's all these rocks, and it's just rocks. I mean, just everywhere. And all of these rocks started turning into these various pieces of artwork,
Yes.
paintings. So you got some
Yes.
Van Goghs, you have some Monets, you have all of this artwork. And I think it was the combination of being in the clouds and the moisture being up there and it being real cold, being at altitude, and it just all the rocks just changed. And I'm like, "Hey, are you seeing these?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "These rocks are so pretty." They don't exist. And I'm like, "I don't care." They're perfect. Um,
Were you
so yeah,
running during this time?
hallucinations were 10. They were positive. That's the only one I had. Once we started going down in altitude, it went away. But up at that 12 in the middle of the night in the clouds, it just my mind did some crazy things with it.
Were you running during this time, or are you just, fast hiking when you had your hallucination?
We were running at that point in time. Shuffling, really. It was more of a shuffle. Um, yeah, because we had done our big climb, which we had walked, ran the big climb, and then you're just on this ridge line. I don't know how wide it is. I got to go see it maybe this summer. Um, I keep telling myself every summer you got to go back and see it. But yeah, so you're just on. I think it's a gradual up kind of, but it's nothing like the climb you just completed.
Okay.
So you okay, wait. Oh, so hallucinations a 10, yes, let's
Yeah.
make sure we have that there.
Yeah.
How about race versus description? We know all the RDs, they embellish just a little bit, from little to
And
a
sometimes they leave out some crucial or tricky information, something that might have questioned you to do the race in the first place.
So I would say it's a 10.
Okay.
It's about equal. They don't market it as a easy race at all. It's definitely tough. I full disclosure, I am friends with the RD also. Um, since the race with the RD and his wife would become friends, but I feel like they describe it very clearly what it's like. When I registered for this race, it was actually a recommendation of a friend of mine here in New Mexico who has who was thinking of doing it, had got in and wasn't able to run it. So, I came around and I'm like, well, I'll go try. She's running it this year, but she's the one who described it to me first based on the description from the website. And she got me intrigued with it, describing how tough it is, and how much of a challenge it is. Um, I think it's pretty equal. And
Alright,
even the description for crewing, um, the fact that it is a really hard race to crew,
Yeah.
it's described pretty well for the crew too.
So it's not like you got out there and say, "Hey, wait a minute, this wasn't what I signed up for."
Oh, not at all. Not at all. There are a few, honestly, there's always those few points in a race though where you're going, well, that doesn't look like the elevation profile. That shouldn't, like, I shouldn't be feeling this way right now. There's a point where you're running down a Jeep road and it's a slight uphill. Because of the profile, it doesn't really show it on the elevation.
yeah.
And you're going, well, why am I like shuffling this or why am I walking at this point? Or, you know, um, So there are those points in the race where it's just it looks easier
Mm,
than than what you feel like when you're doing it.
right.
Huh. Gotta go try this one.
Yes.
So we have added a new question this week, and we want to know about the swag, the medal, the buckle. How would you rate that? And what was the swag?
Um, so I'm a little worried that if I say the swag,
Oh,
that I
okay.
might give away too much.
So let's talk
Um,
about the
but
swag.
there is I'll say it this way. So there's a great t-shirt included with the race.
Uh-huh.
But there's also special finishers items for this race that's very unique to this race. And maybe I won't say it until the very end because I'm worried. I think they're the only race, honestly, in the country that do this as a finisher's item.
Okay.
Hmm.
This
Maybe
is
it's not what I
off.
think it is. Maybe it's
I
not
think I
what it
can guess the state, but I probably so what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can figure it out, and then you get to talk all about this race that you want.
but
So I
you still need a score on it.
oh, a score. I just want to know about the race now.
It's a, I'm guessing said, so we should probably give it a 10, right? Because it's quite unique.
So
It
yes,
is.
Swag, yeah.
the swag. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that is awesome. You got a 9.25 out of 10 on the race experience.
Wow.
That
Well, I can
about
tell this is a good race. This is something you really, really enjoyed and had a great time doing. So I'm
yes,
not surprised
yes.
it's that high.
Enough that I might do it again. Which I don't like to repeat races usually. I like to just kind of experience them all, but this one, yeah.
Yeah. And your overall UTI score was 0.746. That's also up in the high end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you just might be winning this little
Yeah.
thing that everyone's like, oh, I'm going to win. We don't know how you do that, but
Okay, so are we gonna guess the race now?
I can guess the state, I believe. I'm going to say Colorado. I first was going with Arizona. I thought it was the monster, the Muggy monster. But then when you said other things, I'm like, oh, Jeep roads, clouds.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with a summer race, or oh, that other one that I want to
I
do.
was gonna say Ore.
All right.
The other one's probably Leadville.
No, not Leadville.
Lonesome?
High Lonesome. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So is it one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's high lonesome.
Ah,
It's high lonesome. Yes.
yeah, that one's on my list. We ran into people who were gonna do it last year in Leadville, and they were so excited. Her husband was gonna crew her. So tell us
Mm,
about this race.
okay, yeah, now I wanna know about it
Yeah.
because since it's on our list.
When did you run it?
So I ran it in July of 2021. Um, I had come off of a good winter training season, and they had some extra lottery entries for females. And so I put my name in the basket and ended up getting drawn. Really cool thing about this race is it's a 50-50 split, equal number of female entrants as male entrants, um, an equal number waitlisted also.
Right.
So, and I know over the course of the past couple years since I've run it, they've actually increased the number of people that they're able to host at this race.
I think our concern is we always run as a couple, so it would suck if only one of us came in.
You could still run it as a couple. And
Well, yeah,
actually, there's a bunch of places like in this race where it's the trail is, I mean, there's a bunch of single track, and then there's a bunch of places where you could easily run next to each other, or because part of
yeah.
it's on
I
the
take the
CT,
lead when
part of
we're on
it's
a
on the
trail.
CDT. Yeah.
Well, she takes the lead in case they're in spider webs that
Yeah,
needs to be
he's
cleared.
afraid of spiders, so I'm always when you see us running, I'm always in the front, so I can see the snakes, the spiders, the bear, the moose,
Yeah.
whatever else, the
That's one
bobcats.
thing is I don't remember seeing any animals on that course. I know there's a
Really?
lot On that, yes, there's a lot out there, a lot of bears, mountain lions, and I've gone out since, and I've run into, moose and all the yeah, all sorts of wildlife, but for that race, it was quiet. I think we
I
saw one snake the whole time, and that was, mid-morning on the, 2nd sunrise.
wow,
Okay.
you got
Yeah,
lucky. But do you
yeah.
know when you're at 9,000 feet, there's no rattlesnakes? So,
I did know they didn't go very high. I didn't know 9,000 was the
mhm, you
was
made
the
me giggle.
cutoff, but well, that's kinda disappointing though, because I like looking for going out and looking for snakes, so
You should come down here. They're, like, already out on the rocks sleeping.
nice.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite part of the race? I mean, I know you talked about how you had to go up and then down some Jeep roads. Was that the only big hill? I've never really looked at the profile yet.
There's some really good climbs. It's definitely a front-loaded race. Your big climbs are in the beginning.
Okay.
Your first big climb is up, Little Browns Creek, which, goes all the way up to basically the base of, Antonito, the 14er out there. So you're at, like, 13.5 maybe? And it's a significant I've even done it since the race, like, just out backpacking, and it's a significant climb. Like, it's a pretty tough, I don't it's not even that switchbacky. You're pretty much going up. The nice thing though is once you hit that top, you have a very long Jeep road descent, into this old mining town, St. Elmo, and it's pretty
Mhm.
much deserted except for the people who want to go four-wheel and, take their ATVs out for the weekend. Um, but then follows another climb, right? So it's like you're either I don't remember anything being flat on that course. You're going up or down pretty much the whole time. Even if it feels flat, it's a slide up or a slide down.
How'd you like those climb downs the Jeep roads?
Yeah. Uh, well, and it's really easy on that Jeep road, it's such a long descent. I remember thinking, "Well, don't go too quick," because there's nothing really to slip or to trip on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so don't go too fast because 'cause you're only at that point, I think, at mile 16. So you could easily burn up your quads super easily, very early on in that race and still have a significant amount of climbing left because it's 23,500 feet of climbing, over the course of the race.
Wow.
And the first 4,000 is in the first 13 miles.
Oh, what fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a climbing race. It's definitely a high altitude race.
Did you use poles?
I did use poles. I that was my first time using poles. I've only used poles twice. I have since, left them. I've deserted the poles because what happens with me is I will start using poles, and I'll even if I train with poles, I'll start using poles, and then I forget about them, and I end up holding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they don't do anything. They never hit the ground, they end up in my hands. I was running a race, the second race I tried to use poles at, and it was like 6 miles. I was holding these poles, and there was a gentleman and we were talking, and I kept swinging the poles back and forth. It was nighttime. He's like, "Are you gonna put those away or are you gonna use them? Because 'Cause you're gonna kill me with them." And he's like, "You've been holding them for 6 miles." So since then, I haven't used poles because I do end up forgetting that they're there.
Yeah. And then
But I did use poles for that race. I don't know if I went back, if I would train with them and use them again, or if I would just do the race without poles.
Yeah, I like going downhill without poles, but uphill on Jeep roads especially, I prefer to use poles because you know, but you're right though, you forget about them and then next thing you know, you're
yeah,
running downhill and you got these, you know
you can say if you just end up running with them in your hand, probably you wouldn't need them in the first place, right?
But on the other hand, if a moose starts to chase you or a bear, you've got a weapon, so
Right. Just start swinging.
hang guard.
Because we know a moose would definitely respect that.
Yeah. Whoa.
I
So
know
did you
there's a
do
lot
anything
there.
yeah. Did you do anything else special? Like, did you wear any special gear, like any special shorts or, things that you would wear to other races?
I
A
don't
maybe
remember.
backpack?
I had a pack, I had a Solomon pack. I used the 12 liter because there is a list of required gear and then they add to that required gear over the course of the night.
Mm,
So I did use the 12 liter to make sure that I could carry it all. It's not a long list, and if you're smart about what you buy, it doesn't have to be real bulky either, right? Um, but their list does include stuff like pants, I believe, for the nighttime. And like I said, the beanie and buff situation, I ended up with both anyways. So it is helpful to have that extra um space. I can't remember any special, and I've never really been big on like picking um, special shorts or tops or, just kind of whatever works.
yeah.
That was the first race I think that I tried the features socks because I had tried a bunch of other brands. I had tried the toe socks. I had tried um, some of the other non-toe socks, and I was just constantly having either they were too warm on my feet or it felt like the sock was moving in the shoe, which I started wearing like blisters, like we brought up earlier. And especially in that race with the snow melting and the possibility of mud and water and all that. That was the first race I've tried features, and honestly, I haven't switched back since. The only sock I'll wear. No blisters ever, but that might just be me.
No. Um, it's me too. It's us.
Yeah.
There we go. It's us.
Yes, it's us. I'm glad I'm not the only one because
Necessarily,
I feel really bad.
but not necessarily the socks.
So, they have you carry poop bags. Was that required gear? I know I've ran a mountain race and they had me this poop bag with instructions on it. I'm like looking at the pictures thinking, no.
Yeah. Not at that race. That one
Okay.
wasn't required. I don't think it is now either. I might be mistaken. I still don't. They might. I would have to check. But at the time, no, they didn't. And that I feel like that push for the poop bag stuff started kind of after 2021.
Yes.
So it's been a more recent change. But maybe I'm wrong on that too.
I have these little
So.
tiny discs in there for toilet paper, and I'm just thinking, how is that gonna work? And they want you to
Isn't that
carry this.
when you're like supposed to get it wet and then it? I don't know.
I'm just
I'm just not gonna wear a alien foil diaper on the trail.
and I asked what to do with it, and they're like, "Well, you gotta carry it back, Lisa Marie." And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna carry a shovel, and we're gonna do it that way." Yeah, fun with all the trail races, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is there anything else you would like to share? Oh, I wanna hear
So
about your finisher's medal.
Oh, so, the one thing special though about that race, just going back to the no poop bags, but you did have to, clean your shoes prior to the race because it treks through a, habitat of, some sort of frog,
oh,
preservation habitat. So pre-race, you just clean your shoes. I don't know, they have some sort of spray and then a drying mat and whatnot. But that's the only race I've been to where they've let runners like run through a
Wow,
protected area. So
I have
interesting.
never heard of that before.
yeah,
Ah.
Wonder what they sprayed.
yeah, I'm
Probably some pheromone.
something like that. Something so you didn't bring in like any disease or anything abnormal, dirt or whatnot into their little habitat. But
Did you see any of the frogs?
I didn't. No.
Oh,
So
I
we
still
have
don't know
no
what they
way
look
of knowing.
like.
So you don't know if they really existed.
No. I don't think anybody's seen the frogs, honestly.
See, they were trying to spark some hallucinations there.
You're coming back in because you do have to come through that point in the race. Well, you come through the lower portion of the preservation area to come back in. It's kind of like a lollipop course. There's not much that's repeated, but I think it's maybe 8 miles.
Okay.
So you do have to come back through, and, at that point, yeah, people could probably see frogs. I don't know if they really did, but
So,
Awesome.
tell us about your swag and your finisher's medal.
so the finisher's medal is really cool. It's a silver and gold buckle, that looks like a bird with the mountain in the background. The buckle's awesome. You get a full-size bottle of whiskey,
Oh,
that says "High Lonesome" on the side, and they do a whole, ceremony at the end where they call you by name, they call your finisher's time, and they give you your whiskey bottles. And people hang out at the start finish because they're always cooking burgers. They have the Law's Whiskey House out there with drinks. So it's just, and they have tents set up that people can hang out under. So a lot of times people end up finishing the race, like going back and cleaning up. Now, this didn't happen the year I did it because, like I said, the monsoons came in and people left that field pretty quick, because you finish in this big field. So people came in and they just left because it was a really nasty storm. But in years since, I've gone back to see the finish line, and everybody kind of hangs out. Like there's a large group that hangs out and just celebrates every finisher, and
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah. That's
yeah, yeah, it's a good community.
And a lot of cowbell?
A lot of cowbell, always a lot of cowbell. The more the better, right?
Yes. I get kinda disappointed if I don't hear a cowboy when I'm coming into an aid station. I mean, I wanna hear that cowbell.
Well, it almost startles you. If you
Yeah,
don't hear the cowbell, you come in the aid station and you're like, "Is this really the aid station or
yeah,
is it just some people camping?"
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you need the cowbell to know that's where you're supposed to go, especially later on.
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
Yep. And, I've actually been at a race where people wore a little tiny cowbell because they thought it would ward off the animals, and I'm thinking, "That's a dinner bell. No."
Yeah,
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 Yeah.
definitely. They know where the food is.
Yep.
yeah. And I know what it sounds like. It
Yes.
sounds like a little bell.
So what's next for you?
So actually this weekend I am going up to Salt Lake City and I'm running a Buffalo Run,
Mhm.
Mm,
on Antelope Island.
okay.
That sounds like it's gonna be fun. I've actually seen a couple of things out there on that.
Really? I've never been there. I am so excited. It looks like a really fun course. It looks like our conditions might be a little challenging,
Mhm.
little cold, little wet, but you know,
Yeah, unlike here, right?
yeah, yeah.
So do you have any big summer plans or any, like, A races you wanna tell everyone about or any g goals that you're fixing to just go crush?
So my big race this spring is Six Tour de France. I'm doing a 6-day race
Yay.
in
Oh,
southern France in Valence d'Art. It's the end of April, so it's little over 30 days away. Um, and I've been really looking forward to another 6-day race. I had my first attempt at one back in June. I didn't realize how much I was going to actually love um, fixed distance, timed event, 6-day races,
Mhm.
all the different things that can go wrong and all the different things that can go
Yes.
right.
yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to trying to better my distance from the first one, and
The
I
dome,
don't know,
aren't you going
possibly
back to the
seeing.
dome?
Yes, yes. I mean that's on the list too. The dome. I do plan on going back to the dome at some point in time, not this year. But that's a really, really special venue. Really great people there, and just a well run
Yeah,
event. So at some
That's
point,
just
yes, I
yeah.
do want to go back there.
That's the 6th day as well.
there's a 10-day
6
there
day
now.
Yeah,
and 10-day too.
I
yeah.
plan on doing that one at some
We
point.
wanna do the 10 days.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
then
Maybe
again
2026 and we'll show up together
yeah, we
okay.
and
can do
we'll yes, because females can run with each other, you know?
that. Yeah. That could be fun. Let's talk
Like,
about that.
yes, let's
That's
keep
right.
in.
I mean, I don't know because we got bored at the local track last week, and we'd only gone around for half an hour, and I'm just like, "Really? 10 days of this?"
I hate track running. I
Yeah,
never train on the track. Never train on the track. I think leading into the dome, I trained once on the track. Leading into desert, I think I maybe trained twice. I do not like track running, but for some reason, once I get in a race, I
yeah,
get zoned in on that competition and I get zoned in on like just being there and experiencing it all, that I don't get bored. Um,
No,
so
you got all
maybe
the
it's
other people
different in
that
the
make it.
race content that it is like in the
yeah,
training.
yeah. I love 6-day races. I think that it's, you got your 72, and those are good, but the 6-day, I mean, you can't, you basically are taking away the use of a shower because you can't do that if you want big miles. You have to walk with your food. You got to sleep with your eyes open. You just got to figure it all out. And I love that.
Yes, yes, and there's so much, in a 6-day too, where if you have crew, there's 2 working components to figure out, um, because if both are working well and working together,
Yeah.
your mileage is gonna go up. Um Which we could get in a whole discussion on that, on how I got stuck in a mattress and I, like, couldn't phone my husband, but I couldn't get up off the floor without his help, but the mattress had deflated, and so I wasted, like, 15 minutes till he came up to get me, because my phone was on the table and I couldn't reach it, and it was so, yeah, the crew and the runner, work together and can really gain some mileage there too.
Yeah. Well, because
Yeah.
they're counting your time, and if you say 15 minutes, if you're by yourself, 15 minutes does turn into 45. It can very easily. Or like, oh, okay, a few more minutes, or
Yeah.
you take longer to do things that you can just be
Yeah.
done in a minute.
Right. Right,
The other thing
especially
is
later
well,
on.
Hmm.
yeah. And you don't know, I mean, you could be in your body could just say, "Well, I'm not ready for this," in the middle of the whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, you don't know. 6 days is a long time,
Yeah.
Mhm.
no matter how many times you've done it.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
So you're going to go to France this year. You got another one kind of in the works for June.
Yes.
so the one in
Um, so
France,
for
is that the one with the
yes.
1 kilometer loop?
Um, it's 880 meters. I think that's a
Okay.
little less than a kilometer. I think my, my
No,
metric
I think I know what you
conversion isn't exact. I think because that's a little bit more than half a mile, but I think
right.
it's still a little less than a
Okay.
kilometer.
Yeah, but you just break it down. Like when I see this port here, it's, just a little bit more to that part, or I
Mhm.
usually break it down by porta potty. So,
Well, it's in the campground, so there'll be plenty of trees to mark, this is, it's a lollipop too, so it's like, okay, well, when I pass this cabin, this is where I'm here,
Yeah.
this tent,
yeah.
which really, I mean, honestly, you're just gonna do it again anyway, so you
I'll
don't
be
have
back
to
in
think about
5
it too
years.
much. Just do one more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have anything big in the fall? Um, I know what people are wanting me to ask you, but I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to say, do you have anything big in the fall that you're thinking about?
I have no clue what I'm gonna do. Um, I have a decision to make that's gonna be a really tough decision. And also I'm kind of waiting because there's many talented athletes out there. I'm not sure if I'll be able to stay on both the 24-hour team and the backyard team. I could easily get bumped off from either one of them because there are many athletes who are looking for big numbers in both of those events this spring. So depending on what everything looks like, I will pick one or the other, um, to go for in October. Either one I would not be disappointed with. I'm happy to I mean, I'm over the moon to be able to even go to one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
And I guess are you going to go back to Snowdrop this year?
Probably not this year. I've done Snowdrop for the past 3 years. My big goal there has been 250 miles. I still have that goal of 250 and 55 hours at Snowdrop. I think I'm gonna take a year where I don't go to Snowdrop and then return the following year, and really be able to race that race and hit that
Yeah.
mileage goal, because 'cause I've had that since my first year going. I was like, "I'm gonna go for 250." And I came close a couple years ago. This year, I was in recovery mode, so I had a great time, chatting with everyone and getting to know everyone a lot more. But maybe 2 years from now, I'll go for it again because it is a goal of mine.
And I think it's good that you get out there and I had some of the people that were there I know, and they just said that you were so nice and that, you actually chatted and walked and ran with people and they like that side of you. So I
Well,
guess
I had a great time too, so I'm glad they did. It's such a cool event. Like, I love it. Either way, just being there. It's gonna be hard. I do this every year. I did this last year. It's like I'm not gonna go, and then April 1st came around, and I just had to register. Um, this year I'm gonna try to take a year break so that way I
Uh,
can go back in 2 years and really focus on it.
okay.
right on. So it sounds like you got a full year planned and, you know, I know everyone's gonna be watching and waiting and seeing,
Good
but I
It'll
can
be
God.
tell you what
busy. It'll be
everyone
a lot of
says.
fun.
It'll be a lot of fun, and everyone loves your smile. Your energy that you bring to the branding community is just
Oh.
and
Yeah.
it
Well,
does
thank
it
you.
Well, thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank you so much for talking about High Lonesome.
yeah.
That was really awesome.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. I wasn't even sure which race, and then I was like, "Oh, I gotta do that one." Because honestly, I didn't even write a race report on this race until I think it was 6 months after. And the
Yeah.
Mhm.
lottery opened, and then I wrote, like, a short, like, 3 paragraphs on it, and I haven't really reflected on this race, as much since, so it was kinda nice to dive deeper into it and, just how special of an event it really is and just how challenging,
Right.
um, that course is.
Right, and I think that it also humanizes you some too, because it's before you were you. For what you are right now, a phenom, but it shows that, you had your beginnings, you've had to do a lot to get where you are, and I like that. I
Well,
think it's
thank you.
important to tell people who are, just starting out, and if you had to tell someone that was gonna sign up for their first 100 mile, what would you tell them?
Um, I think so often. And I'm saying specifically for myself, like, this race, High Lonesome that we talked about was terrifying for me. To go into this race, to be at that high of an altitude, it's over 10,000 feet for so long. Um, and I had only been at high altitude for a couple years at that point in time. I was really terrified of this race. And I put in the work, and
Yes.
I doubted myself through the training even at times where it was just like, "Well, why is this climb? It's taken me forever. I did it fine last week," or whatever it was. Um, but I think, the biggest thing was just getting out there and having my support, having my crew, having my pacers. They believed in me, and just believing in myself too, and just I know that's so cliche, but just being like, "Okay, well, you're already on this line. You've already put in the work. Like, just put in the work and go do it and see what happens." Like, the
Right.
worst that happens, honestly, is you fail. Like, you don't do it. And I mean, it's disappointing,
Mhm.
but it's an opportunity to learn, go
Exactly.
back, revamp it, and try again.
Right.
Um, there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with failure. So if you want to do something, go try it. Go put in the work. Go attempt it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You can always do it again, hopefully,
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
You can.
Yeah.
So
I totally agree.
Yep.
Yeah. That's you don't have to have a clean record on on ultra
no.
running.
No, no,
Because
definitely
it
not.
just what was to be said? It just means you never challenge yourself enough
Yeah,
if you never fail. So
Well, yes, I agree with that entirely.
so
that's right. Well, I thank you so much for coming on and, hope to have you on again someday.
oh
Maybe,
yeah, well,
we could do this, 6-day thing in a come on and talk to each other about.
Yes. It would be nice to have it'll be nice to have more than one experience too, and yes, I would love 6 day, another 6
And
day,
then
another 10 day, who knows?
a 10-day,
Yes.
go big or go home.
Yes.
Well, we have to maximize our ROI.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
look good on the ROI.
There you go.
All
Uh,
right.
so
Well,
thank you and lots of love
Thank
to you and have a
thank
and
beautiful
have
week
fun in France.
and have fun in France. I would like to hear more about that, so please stay in touch.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.